Okay, I'm doing a review of this thing. I guess they call it a Shift digital photo album. Honestly, I don't know why I bought this thing. It was cheap, real cheap, and I thought, wow, there's got to be some use for a tiny little gizmo that doesn't weigh anything, that's so small, that can do, I don't know how well it's showing up on the video there, but it can hold, it says 60 different images, and there's a couple of different modes of watching the images or scrolling through the images. I can scroll through them manually by flipping it to manual, and now this images will, I can scroll through them with these up and down arrows at my leisure. I can go backwards, and I thought, I don't know, I gotta figure there's got to be something I can use this little thing for. The clarity is great. These images that I've got in here aren't all that awesome, but I suspect that if I had writing on here, I could read it. I guess you're limited to the square size. There's some software that comes with it, and the USB cord, so you just plug it into USB, and it's USB 2, so it's pretty quick to load images. The software seemed a little clunky, but what it does is it allows you to put the pictures in whatever order, and it helps you to crop the images. So if you've got images already on your computer, the software that comes with this little gizmo lets you crop it and edit it and whatever. So anyway, I think you could probably get some pretty useful images on here, and having the ability to scroll through, I don't know, besides cheating on tests, I gotta assume there's got to be another way that this thing can be useful. It has some pretty neat options, and again, this is not expensive. This was under $5, so it was not an expensive item. I think it might have been on sale, but still under $5. I figured, it can't go wrong. Anyway, so it's got some pretty neat features. I can delete images right off of the device itself, which I guess is nice because I don't have to jump to the software to do something like that. I can't add them directly to the device, but I can delete them. I can go to display mode, and we just did that. That's going to go between auto slideshow and manual slideshow. I'm going to flip it back to auto there. When you flip it to auto, you then get to adjust with the up and down arrows how long you want the transition to be. So I've got it set to 0 seconds right now, and it goes all the way up to 120 seconds. So basically the time that it's going to stall, and let the image show before it flips to the next image can be adjusted real easily. I'm going to set it to 0 seconds and see what happens. Next, I've got a clock set and clock display, and I never actually use that, so it's set to some weird time. When I have it set to 0, it's just whipping through the pictures. That's kind of neat. So really have no idea what to do with this thing, but I imagine there's got to be some good use for it. It must be about 4 inches by 3 inches by about a ½ inch. It doesn't weigh anything. It's got a fairly substantial, decent attachment point here. I was surprised. A lot of times this cheap stuff, is cheap. It doesn't have any batteries. You use the USB cable that plugs in the bottom here to plug it into a computer, and that'll charge it. While it's charging, it doesn't work. Just in case anybody was wondering, it just says charging, or it says updating or something when you plug it in. The software though can talk to it. It's a little clunky, but what do you want for a couple of bucks? Now I'll just kind of show it again so you can have an idea. This is on 0 seconds, so it's transitioning pretty quickly. I didn't know how well you could see from down there, so now I'm standing behind the camera. I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the menu. You've got power off. I'm just going to use the two, there's only 3 buttons, on and off, or the menu button, and then up and down. So now I'm going to scroll past the power to delete image. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go to display mode. Now I flip down and hit this enter button, and then scroll back and forth between auto and manual. Manual means I'm going to hit the button every time. So I'm going to flip it to auto, and then when I hit enter, it's going to say how many seconds. Now I'm going to flip it to 1 second, just scrolling up and down there. So now it's at 1 second, and then again there's that clock, which I don't use, and now it's at 1 second, so still goes pretty quick. I'm going to go change that just so you can see a picture. I'm going to flip it to manual, I guess. Okay, so now that it's on manual, I went to exit. Now, I don't know how well these are going to show up, but that's pretty good detail in my opinion for just a little gizmo that costs less than $5. Okay, so when it's off, you just hold the power button down and it'll power itself up and go straight into its modes, and it'll go to the last mode that it was told to do. And in this case it was manual. To turn it off, you hit the power button once and it goes to the power off. Hit it a second time and it just turns off for you. Here it is in proportion to a AA battery. It's about as big as what, 3 or 4 AA batteries, just a hair longer. Less than a AA battery this way. Anyway, I thought I'd show it to everybody as it's a neat piece of gear. I guess what it's for is to put pictures on. I'm sure my mom would love to have pictures of her grandkids or something on here, but for me, I'd care more about the practical uses of it, or the potential practical uses of it. And see if anybody's got any suggestions. Go ahead and leave them in the comments, and we'll see what we come up with.